fighting hearts out. I'm sure you've heard it all before, but you never really had a doubt. And I don't believe that anybody feels the way I do about you now. Repeating this lines like a search for the missing. Father, dear father, where have you been? Age 3, couldn't piece together the memories. Father, dear father, where have you been? When I was learning to walk, you need support, where were you to lean? Help me brush my teeth, show me a belief. Look up to, treat you like a king. School became important, learning new things. Sitting in class, studying technology, being the perfect role model. But to who? Not you, where you been? Father, dear father, where have you been? Father, dear father, where have you been? How could you do this to me? Repeating these lines like a search for the missing. Dropping the yellow pages, man. Where have you been? Father, dear father, where have you been? I ain't gonna be like you, no way. Repeating these lines like a search for the missing. My mother's...
Hi, we have with us today Curtis Young, otherwise known as Osiris. Did I pronounce that correctly?
You did indeed. Yeah,
welcome.
It's lovely to connect with you.
Economics TV. Now, this young man is an actor as well as a musician, and he has many other talents as well. So I'm going to give him a chance to introduce himself and tell us what he does.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Dawn. It's a pleasure to be on your channel here today. So yeah, I am a singer, songwriter, dancer, and actor. And I have been singing and songwriting and dancing for, well, I started when I was 8 years old. So I've been doing it over 30 years, but the acting side, probably about 15 years professionally. So yeah, I've been all in all, it's been pretty much half my life, you know, dedicated to the arts and crafts of what I do.
Okay. So let's talk about one of the areas first. Let's do it in this order. We'll talk about the acting, then the dancing, then your musicianship. Okay, so tell us about the acting. What kind of things have you done? What have you been in?
So I've been a part of the National Theatre. I started my sort of professional stance on stage, and I started in a musical called As You Like It, with an ensemble cast through the People's Theatre in London, and it was directed by a man called Doug Ringle. So big shout out to him, and it was an incredible experience. I had the opportunity to play within a Shakespearean, you know, type of play, a musical, and I played a character in As You Like It called Duke Frederick. So that's where I kind of started the professionalism. However, I was very inspired by going into it because I fell into it through going to workshops, and I never thought that experience would lead me to actually take that, you know, one step further into actually pursuing it, you know. And I was been very inspired by when I was a kid going to the cinema and, you know, watching movies from people like Steven Spielberg or people who starred in movies like Tom Cruise. So yeah, that bug was kind of there, but it was more the music side that came before it. But once I did As You Like It, it was kind of, I really wanted to do more. So then after that, shortly after, I got an opportunity to be a part of the Young Vic, which is another subsidiary connected to the National Theatre, and the creative director, Kwame, who's also an affiliation with somebody called Idris Elba as well. Big shout out to those guys. I was able to do a production called 2020, and it was during the time of the pandemic. and it was the short film was directed by Millie Bhakti. So that is also available on YouTube to watch, and that was an incredible experience as well to do. And then from there, I started doing music videos and things like that. So I had, a lot of experience in that at that point, really.
Okay, and when did the dancing come into play?
The dancing came when I was about 8 years old. So I started off, I did a choreography piece at school because I was very inspired by Michael Jackson. And I did something for the school. And I'd always had like dance, like I was always in the playground where other people playing football or, doing other creative things. I was always in the playground dancing, and that formed a crowd around me. And it was kind of like, I didn't realize it was, it was, and I didn't realize it was going to progress into the fact that I would do it in terms of street dancing. So when I was about 15, 16, I started to street dance. And I used it as a tool of perfection because I was very inspired by a lot of different artists such as Timbaland, Justin Timberlake, Usher, R&B. The music for me was kind of endless just to create these moves. And then as well, I used my hand at kind of supporting certain organizations like Children in Need. I did the kind of like a long distance street dance for them, and Sport Relief as well. So I kind of let my hand at some of the times that I would go out and street dance. But yeah, street dancing was definitely the pinnacle stage of me actually progressing into the professionalism of actually doing it and being a part of my act. So
hi, hello. What's your name, please?
My name is Osiris.
All right, Osiris. How old are you?
I'm 33.
Okay, what do you do?
I am a songwriter, dancer, performer.
Okay, brilliant. What are you going to sing?
I'm going to do a cover version of Coldplay's Sparks.
Yeah, and I was very, very inspired by a lot of people along the way.
Okay, great. Do you still dance today?
I do, yeah, still. And as well, I think in this day and age I'm very thankful because I think it is a part of like keeping fit as well. I mean, it's so resourceful, and we use it now in different mediums like Zumba or ways of like training our body. So I'm very thankful that I disciplined myself from a very young age in that way. So yeah, I still do dancing because now I incorporate it with the music and the song. So similar to artists like Usher, Raymond, or Justin Timberlake or Michael Jackson, they have that, kind of structure. So I follow that as well.
Okay. So what's your backstory? What's your parental background? Where were you born?
Right. Yeah, so I was born in Northwest London, a place called Paddington in 1980. Yeah, so London has always been, my home, and my mum was born here. My grandparents were born in Barbados, but they came over here in the 50s, and I just really love London because obviously it's you can grasp a lot from the different types of cultures and things like that. A lot of wonderful, amazing people that live there, and I just grew up learning different things, and just kind of learning my own identity really. So but dancing was definitely because dancing was definitely the universal language that I could communicate with to people, and music was quite progressive. In central London, there's lots of different aspects of different types of music, and that's how you build conversations, with people. So that was my language growing up. Really.
So when you left school, did you go straight into the arts, or did you have a career before you became an artist?
That's a great question. What I did is I had to balance the two because primarily back then to get into the arts like professionally and full time, it's a case of trying to fund it, and I didn't have the funds at the time to kind of go into places like the Tricycle Theatre. It was suggested, for me to go there, but again, I had to really focus of trying to, earn money. So I went straight into retail and customer service, but I still had, when I would leave work, it would still be the music and everything like that. So it was kind of like developing the stuff on the side from an organic perspective and do it that way, really. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because usually when people are starting off, you do have to fund things yourself, really, don't you?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so tell us about when you got into the music industry. What year did you start that?
So it was literally like my late 20s when I decided that I wanted to put together an album, but it was very weird because I grew up kind of respecting artists like Nas and Jay-Z, the hip hop side of rap, and I'm not as good as them by any means. You know, I think they're pioneers in their craft, but I think for us in England, when I think garage primarily, and you know, artists like Dizzy Rascal and people like that, Plan B, for example, who has this spin on words, I didn't realize that I could do that too, because I didn't write my first. I'm very much into the spoken word element of it, and I didn't write my first poem until I was 13. But I didn't know it would progress. It wasn't until I started like getting into garage and listening to drum and bass and trying to practice and perfect the way that I would, you know, have my own interpretation of wordplay. And then it wasn't until like my late 20s I decided, you know, I looked at the commercial industry as like, do you know what, I could do that. I heard enough music for me to go, do you know what, there's something I could contribute to that. So it's just by accident that I connected with somebody who's, you know, had a studio, and I went round there and I started writing and then developed it. It was all new to me. It was a new world. But once I started creating the song from the first album entitled Perfect Timing, and then I realized how good, you know, it was good in my eyes, I felt, you know, I'm going to keep continuing to do it. And that's what I built up a catalog, and that's when, you know, the album kind of was born, really. And yeah, it just grew from there.
Okay, and did you get good feedback from listeners, family, friends?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and it spawned into there's a song on the first album called Sweat, which I played to a friend of mine who's quite close to somebody else in the music industry as well. And we listened to it, and he was like, "This, you've got to do a video to this. You have to do a video to this," which gave me then that confidence that this is something, you know. So I started just keep moving with everything, progression. It was as well for that time. It was very different because the words I was using were quite prolific in terms of the clarity in my eyes, you know, and there was like strong, you know, positive messages, which I'm kind of, you know, happy that I was able to do. And then incorporating like movement and things like that was, I thought, was kind of rare for seeing that in the UK anyway. I didn't really see anybody else doing that kind of stuff. So I felt it was kind of unique as well. So I kind of kept going, and people were appreciating the stuff I was doing. And it was at the time of MySpace, you know, if you look at the way the internet now has evolved, you know, we've got so many different platforms that can help support artists if you're independent. So I came at the start when MySpace was kind of still going, and I was trying to, once I had made the album, I was trying to promote it and put it on different platforms, you know. So yeah, that's where I came from, really.
So which of your songs do you think has the most prolific words that you think could really change someone's mindset?
Wow, that's an amazing question. On the first album, Perfect Timing, there's a few songs that spring to mind. One's called Why Are We So Different? And that song is asking the question about why are we so different? You know, why are we not the same as everybody else? And drawing subjects that maybe people overlook or probably have questioned but not felt to delve into, which I think is an important thing to do, and also as well gives you a sense of a relation to struggle. A lot of the songs that on my first album is kind of like a biographical kind of thing where I've gone through it but overcome, and showing that beginning thing. And it's kind of like a manual in a certain sense. So Why Are We So Different is definitely one. Father Dear Father is another, because it was a kind of a personal journey of me not being raised by my father and the effects that took for me, but also as well wanting to lay that out in a song where it's kind of like my therapy kind of thing. And I know that many people can relate to that song. Yeah, those two in particular I think have, and there's a couple of songs on there about relationships as well. So one's called Let's Not Ties, you know, about how to go about being. I'm very romantic at heart, so I kind of have this gentleman kind of way of approaching things in that sense. So yeah, songs like that, really.
Okay. Well, that's good in the sense that you're talking about real life situations.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
music is R&B and not hip hop, not rapping.
It kind of have a mixture of the two.
Does it?
And yeah, because it has spoken word, and then I've got a couple of singers on there that kindly wanted to be a part of the project too. And one of them is called Kaylee Dion. Big shout out to you, Kaylee. She appeared on two of the songs, "Why Are We So Different" and "Let's Lock Ties." And another lady as well appeared on one of the songs called "Break My Heart, Break Your Heart." And and also as well another singer called Lavinia J. She also appeared on a song called "I Don't Mind." So I brought people on there to make it very diverse, but also as well, I wasn't at the stage where I'm at now, where I was vocally singing to the level I'm at. So that's another reason why as well I brought people on, because I didn't want to do a disservice to the songs, and I wanted to stay in my lane, but also as well give other people an opportunity to do that. So I wanted to be as diverse as possible
Okay.
on this album.
All
Mm-hmm.
right. Interesting. Okay, so tell me about the
Mm-hmm.
gigs that you do. Tell me about the best gig you've done, the smallest gig you've done, the biggest one, and who have you performed with that we would know of?
Right. Okay. Sure. Sure. So in terms of overall a generalization, I mean, we just recently I've launched my new album, "Focus on Me and Not the Storm," and I launched the live show, which I performed in Oxford. So I performed all 14 of the songs that are on there, and for me that was a great achievement, because it was the fact that I finished the whole album, and it was the first time I actually kind of performed it in real time, to a live audience. For me, that was a huge achievement, and I think one of the best shows that I can record. Um, I did. I was part of an ensemble to sing for. It's called the Big Sleep Out, which basically people from the community can go to central London as a unit and do some singing in Trafalgar Square. And that was another amazing achievement with me. And also as well, people like Will Smith and Helen Mirren appeared as well. So that was another great highlight, I would say. Smallest gig, I mean, I've done acoustics in coffee shops as well, so I love that kind of style as well. Being able to do acoustic levels to cover songs. I'm very inspired by people and artists like Coldplay, Oasis, Stereophonics. So massive shout out to you guys, because they also as well bring the resonance of who I look up to, and helps me with my voice to kind of send out really angelic vibes. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's things like that.
What instruments do you play?
I don't play any instruments. My voice is the instrument, and my dancing is the instrument.
Oh, right, I see. So you use backing tracks when you're out on gigs, or you take musicians with
Yeah, yeah. I use backing tracks, and also if I'm able to, we can use acoustics as well. So somebody who plays guitar, depending on their availability, but I have been known to do that as well.
Okay, right. Okay. So all your music is on all the main music channels like Spotify and YouTube and
Spotify, Apple, yeah. Right now you can download Reconcile, which is from my forthcoming album. Well, my album out now, Focus on Me and Not the Storm. Which that whole album is a spiritual album, and it's a growth album. It's like my relationship with God, faith, and the inspiration there. My first album, Perfect Timing, is on all platforms: Apple Music, Spotify. You can download it everywhere now. It's also on YouTube as well. So yeah, please do check it out. It's awesome. And also as well, I released a separate single called Vision, and big shout out to Usher Raymond. So the backing track is a sample from Usher's song called Climax. So big
she
shout
gave
out,
you
also giving
permission
permission
for, I
to use.
presume, yeah?
Yeah, to use that. Yeah. So I mean, I'm a big fan of him, and I remember when. Here's the ironic thing about this song, Vision. The thing about it was, on Valentine's Day, I wrote the song. The following Valentine's Day, I made the video, and then the following Valentine's Day, I released it. So it was always in conjunction with that date. But the fact that the theme is about love and about relationships, and I aspire to that through my positivity and what I'm engaging on the song. I feel that was kind of ironic that it was kind of written on the Valentine's Day and then released on the Valentine's Day. So Yeah, and that's also available to download, and the video is out now as well. So
are you watching your stats to see how many people listen to it
yeah,
or download it?
yeah, I do. Yeah, especially this is why I appreciate platforms like Spotify. So massive shout out to Spotify, because for artists, it's a very good, useful tool to how you can measure, your growth, and that's what I like. You can be the, the product of your own. You could be the architect of your own product. What I'm trying to say. So yeah, I love that. So big shout out to Spotify, because they really help you, especially if you are an artist and you have no idea of the industry whatsoever. It's good to utilize these tools that are available for you, so you can just measure your growth to those things, and see what you're working with online. So it's good.
Okay, so if somebody wants to get started in the music industry, how would
Yeah.
you advise them? What should they do?
Well, what I would first of all do is get access to recording equipment. Start. Even you've got it on your phone. Start recording your stuff. Start actually practicing, and the more that you practice, the more making sure that you're right before you even enter any sort of capacity of a studio. Making sure that don't feel frightened by what it is you're doing, especially if you're coming from the writing aspect of it, because I talk from a writing point. So for me, it was making sure that I was confident enough to know, okay, what I have here is good enough, and making sure that I'm understanding that structure, and just keep doing it, keep practicing, and get some recording equipment. Start off there, baby steps, before you even then decide, I'm going to take this. Get a demo. Making sure that you get a demo, and also going to places like open mics. So getting that exposure, getting that confidence to stand in front of people, getting that feedback is very, very also important. And it's baby steps, and always just come away just thinking, okay, I've done that. Now what's next? How can I network? How can I do this? And then when you get to a stage where you're comfortable with the demo that you've got, that's when you kind of go to the next stage and go to the studio. And for me, it's always a work in progress. I just look at it like everything that you do is a step by step, and there's no right or wrong. It's just building on something that you already have, because you're the one that's curating it. So it's just feeding it, loving it, making sure you're happy with it, getting advice about it, making sure that you're as well. I think being serious about it is the key, because I've met so many people who say, yeah, I sing, I do this. And the way I look at it is, okay, so I'll challenge you. I was like, well, let's meet up for a writing session or something. And it's kind of like, there's excuses, I get told, So I would say making sure that you are serious about it, because it's a job. It becomes a job. But you also have to love your job. You got to love what you do. You got to take care of it. So I think the first initial thing is getting comfortable with what you're doing, recording it. If you're a songwriter, making sure you're writing everything, going to the open mics, build a demo, build 4 or 5 songs that consistently you're going to do, keep doing, and then progressively you can now get the recording equipment as well, so you can do it at home. You don't have to necessarily go to a studio, but making sure that you're ready enough to do that. And there's platforms like SoundCloud. Get the songs onto SoundCloud, get some feedback. You can do that now on the internet. Before, it was like you had to gig primarily, but the internet is definitely a resource to just give you that confidence and that feedback. And once you build up that base, that fan base of people liking it, keep going forward and start building yourself up, your identity. Because it's not just about the music. What do you come with? What are you trying to tell the world? The message that you have. Who are you? Because there's so many artists as well. Making sure you're clear on that. Do you know what I mean? That's how I look at it. When I follow someone or I listen to someone, I go a little bit deeper, because I want to know what they're about. And you know what I mean? That's how I look at it. So, but yeah, always, and keep persevering. And I believe there's no limit to success. The fact that you've actually done it is the success. You've taken part, you've done it. So keep going, and yeah, you'll get there.
And how would that new musician get gigs?
Again, it's about networking. Go into these forums now online. There's a lot of these Facebook groups as well, that in the keyword music, musicians, events, gigs, 9 times out of 10 they're all connected. 9 times out of 10 they are accessible on the internet. So anywhere that has live music, pubs, bars, places like that, try and do your homework, try and do your research, give them a call, ask questions. That's the only way you're going to know. And the more that you're asking questions, the more you find out about what the service these establishments will provide, and then that gives you an idea. Okay, even if it's a pub and it's like, maybe 20 minutes away from your home, give them a call, go down there, actually become an audience member, see what it's like, and then when you feel comfortable with that, then start making those movements.
Okay, so really people can step out by asking venues if they want an artist, maybe send their music that they recorded, their demo, maybe even send videos of them performing.
That's right. Yeah.
But did you also perform some of your songs online so that you showed it on your Instagram, on YouTube?
That's very important. I mean, that's the wonderful, beautiful thing about having platforms such as Instagram, that if you get to a stage where you're seeing, like, you're getting your work out there, you're getting your videos out there, make a business card, you know what I mean? And if making sure you're handing them out, and then that gives the audience an idea, even if they can't get to your music that day, they've got something to remember you by, and that also drives the traffic, do you know what I mean? YouTube is another great successful tool. Making sure, I mean, we're in an age now where you've got like the recording on the touch of your phone now, so anytime that you're doing something, whether it be outside, in your bedroom, wherever it is, making sure you're recording all these things. These things are classified now as content. And the more content that you do, and there's many different platforms that will house and, help you promote, what you need to send out to the world. So back in the day, 20 years ago, that wasn't the case. It was more directly, you either had to go to a label or you had to go gigs, and it was very kind of, in the back room of it. It wasn't kind of openly. I think now we live in a time where there's a lot more resources, so it's a lot more accessible, I would say.
So would you say people can make it big without a record label nowadays?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, it could just take one song to go viral. I mean, we've got things like TikTok, which is, for the youth, everybody knows what TikTok is. You mean, even down to, America, Biden, we all know what TikTok is. So it's one of those kind of things where it can just take one song just to kind of get that viral. And once that gets viral, you don't know who it's going to, be in the hands of, or who's going to impact, or who's going to see it. So.
Yeah, because then record labels would come trying to track you down, and they want to sign you.
Exactly.
You having to go.
Yeah, and that's another way that you've kind of made it. When the labels come knocking at your door, that's another sign. It's another key sign. So I would say, don't chase it. Just do you. Just be you, and just be authentic, and just enjoy the journey of that. Because, I'm not saying everybody's got different experiences, but don't chase after that. Just be true to you and build up your content and your music, and let everything else take its course,
With you being a singer, every time you go and do your recording, you need to hire in band members, I presume, yeah?
Not necessarily. I mean, these two projects that I've done, these two studio albums that I've done, were backing tracks that was already put together. And that's the art.
Put together by who?
However, sorry?
Put together by whom?
So the producers that I've hired are the ones that kind of orchestrate that. So that part for me, so that part. However, if I wanted to kind of do it from the angle where I have like live instruments, that's a possibility, and that's something that I'm looking into, because I'm still relatively, I would say, even though I've been doing this for a long time, I'm still relatively new, and there's so much different things I want to explore as an artist that I haven't done. And so it's just for me, the timing of everything, because between the first album, Perfect Timing, to this other album, Focus on Me and Not the Storm, like, I'm following a directory, so that plan in between these two albums is 10 years. And so I was very vigilant and focused that I knew after Perfect Timing, and at that time I didn't have all the resources and the capacity to promote the first album. So for me, the first album, between the first album and the second album, were learning curves. So I wanted to make sure that Focus on Me and Not the Storm was going to get the full, kind of promotion that it deserves. But I had to also, as well, I think it helped me from learning from the first album where I'm at now. And that's another part of the stage of progression, I think, is great, So for me now, I'm at the stage now where I'm building up my company, Without Borders Entertainment, which not only will house my albums that I do currently and in the future, but I'm also branching out with doing podcasts and doing movies and of my own, and doing other things like that, and selling stuff like the t-shirts and things like that. So for me, it's building my brand, and that for me, I didn't think. I mean, majority of artists kind of focus on just that art side, but for me, I realized, okay, I can do all of this, myself. So that's where I'm at now.
Okay. So what's your ultimate goal? Tell me.
Yeah. So my ultimate goal is to have my content, whether it be music, movies, and everything that I'm producing, to be embraced by the world. I mean, my ethos is to promote positivity, encourage people, inspire people with the content that and the gifts and that I've been given, and also as well, I want to be able to enable people and help people, because for me coming into this and choosing this as my path, it wasn't easy, Dawn, let me tell you. However, about 2-3 years ago, I decided, because of my hardship of trying to progress and keep consistent and keep positive, to keep grinding, I decided to put together a foundation called Love Has No Color. And what that symbolizes is that foundation will help people, enable them to pursue their careers in the creativity arena. And I want to be able to impart knowledge, utilize resources to help them, and guide them to wherever they need to be, even if it gives them opportunities within the projects that I do, or fun things, whatever it may be. I want to be able to give them that stepping stone through, obviously the guides that I'm going through, that hopefully can inspire them. It's like, leaving behind that type of legacy, do you know what I mean, where you can help another person and give them the confidence. Because I didn't get that growing up. I never got all the keys to the kingdom. Everything that I've been doing is through search and find and learning,
Yeah.
So I think it's a beneficial tool to have something where you can help somebody else, you know what I mean, and encourage them.
I think that sounds great. So anybody who wants to get into the music industry or to do similar things as yourself, they can contact you.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, definitely. And I'm always willing to either give advice or help them on, or if they want to be a part of a project I'm doing, I'm always available to be there.
So you mentioned earlier on that you were on, was it Britain's Got Talent?
Yeah, I was. Correct. Yeah. So I was about 33 at the time, because I'm 43 now, so it's been about 10 years. I was on Series 8. So I was given the opportunity to perform Vision and another song. And I performed a cover of Coldplay's song called Sparks. And I did a rendition of Dancers. Yeah, Spark, Coldplay did a song, which it's interesting, because when I decided to use that idea to kind of do a movement to it, you don't really dance to the song like that. But because I'm very skilled at it, I decided I wanted to do that. So yeah, I went on that show. Yeah, for that.
All right. So is your appearance on Britain's Got Talent, is that on YouTube?
It is, yeah.
All right. Well, we're gonna have to find it and then put a link underneath.
Yeah, you can do. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, but it was an experience. I mean, again, I went on there and it was my enthusiasm for my talent. You see, up until that point, again, it's like this. I'd been street dancing since I was 16, and I did it for a span of 10, 15 years. And, thankfully, and I was able to get the encouragement from people everywhere. Do you know what I mean? As well, but I wasn't doing it initially just for them, but because I was doing it in a way that I treat the world as a playground. Because, as I said, I didn't have the resources to get rehearsal studios. I was just doing it on spec because I had that and I was just training. So I developed that confidence, but to have the opportunity to get on that platform, to me, was just an amazing thing. And then just to keep going. And furthermore, what it's produced since then. So there is a movie called Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning, and it's a part of a franchise that Tom Cruise is a part of. And I'm very admired by Tom Cruise, very, very much so, because of his work ethic and because of what he believes in, the story is king and so forth. So in this, I would say now continuation to launch my album, I decided to do a dance performance for the movie. What I did was for about 6 months, I was training. I was doing this dance routine, doing this dance specifically to something that was associated with the movie. And then I wondered, and this is a thing about filmmaking, because I decided to film it myself, because I wasn't really confident in doing that, because I would always rely on other people to film things for me. Do you know what I mean? Whether it be music videos. But because I decided I would document everything I did, I took the initiative and I kept, you know, filming and recording. And then one day I just got up at 7 o'clock in the morning. It was raining. I remember it so clearly. And I went and trained and I did like 2 hours of dancing. And when I came back with the footage, I saw how cinematic it was. And I saw all that practice, perseverance, and all of that just really synchronized. And I knew I had something. So I dedicated this dance performance to Mission Impossible. So again, it's people like that who I'm very inspired by, who can tell you through their work, you can do it too. So by me doing that, it was just an honor to do that. So, and also as well, I'll be releasing, because I love movies. So there's a film called Beverly Hills Cop with Axel Foley, part 4, which Eddie Murphy's doing. So I'm doing a dance to that. So every once in a while, I pay homage to these kind of artists and stars who I've been admired by, and they've been like these lights growing up when I was, you know, doing my thing.
You know what? I hope you sent the footage to Tom Cruise so that.
Yeah, I hope so too. I hope he hears it, you know, because he
gonna...
comes to London quite a lot, and
yeah,
you know, I hope even if I never meet him, let's say, I hope that, you know, I've just done my job by, you know.
Have you put it on your Instagram, the footage?
Yeah, it's on my Instagram. It's on YouTube. It's there as well. So, you know what I mean? Who knows? Who knows what the future holds? But as I said, I'm really inspired by Tom Cruise as an actor, but also the movie franchise. Mission Impossible is a great franchise. Have you seen it? Have you seen the movies?
Oh, yeah.
So it's one of those ones, man. I grew up watching.
I've seen them all from number 1, right?
Yeah. What's your favorite? What's your favorite?
I think the second and the third one.
Okay.
The first one was probably more shocking because that was the first time we'd seen that particular stuff.
Yeah.
But exactly. I did really like the second and the third one. Yeah.
Yeah, the second one, it was really good. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, well done with what you've achieved. And I hope that you know, you get more and more success. So don't give up.
Thank you.
Don't stop.
Thank you.
And as you are helping others do the same thing, then at some point, you know, you will benefit greatly, whether it's from them or from your own work or from all the work that you're. So when this movie comes out that you're planning, let us know, won't you?
Yeah. Yes, of course. Yes. So currently, what I can tell you is the movie's called Invasion, and it's a sci-fi action movie which I've devised, and I'm currently writing the script now with a couple of other people, and we're now just kind of fleshing out the story and building the crew. It is obviously the first time doing something on this scale, and don't get me wrong, it is very challenging, nerve-wracking, exciting, all the emotions you can think of, but it's my faith initially because I feel so passionate about what I'm doing, and I think I'm really enjoying the journey so far. So I definitely will keep you posted.
I've got to commend you. You know, you come up with an idea and you think, I want to do this, and you're not limiting yourself. You just get on with it. You're doing the creation, and hopefully we will see this amazing movie soon. So you will let us know.
Thank you.
We want to be there.
I will. Yes, of course.
We want to be there at the premiere. Okay.
Yeah, of course. You got a front row seat as well. So
yeah, that would be amazing. I hope you do.
Yeah,
I mean, if you think about what's going on in the filmmaking world, even in Nigeria, you know, they're turning out films, you know, left, right, and center, and there are a few woods around the world. You've got Hollywood, Bollywood, and Nollywood. You know, and they're all doing very well.
Yes,
there's so many Nollywood films now that you can see on Netflix and even on Amazon Prime, you know. The doors are open for us as Black people to make films. So well done with that. And I hope you can, you know, don't take 10 years, right? Please, just try and get it done as soon as possible.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I definitely agree with that because I'm starring in these movies, and it's not just this project. There's a lot of other projects. So I think that's where the fact that I've been so physical and fit, and I'm running and I'm really actually the one that's doing all the physical work. So for me, I want to get it out as quick as possible in that sense, because I don't want to be 60 years old and still trying to do it, even though that might look kind of cool and inspiring. But I want to do it right at this age, you know what I mean, while I'm still kind of fit to do these things. Yeah. So
you've got to do it, and just
Thank you.
also mindful about your marketing plan as well. It's not even just about doing the movie, it's about making sure the whole population in England knows about this movie so that you get
Exactly.
a good percentage of those people going out to see it.
Yeah, definitely. That's the
Maybe we
plan.
might
Yeah.
see it after it's been in the movies. Maybe we might see it on Netflix or
Yeah.
you
That's
contacted
it.
them to see if they buy off you?
Well, basically, because we're still at the beginning stages, it's all about trying to be able to have these conversations and build it all up. Because to get to the stage now where I've got a script writer and I've got other people, that was a journey in itself. Because I had again, it's faith. It's my faith to believe in these things to come to fruition. And what I was doing initially was just putting the trailers together with what I was able to do with the vision, because I'm permanently inspired all the time, and it frustrates me if I'm not able to get the idea out. So there, for me, I go through this process, and because maybe the music, I'm probably a bit more knowledgeable in that side, but to do a movie is completely different ball game. But I'm not frightened of the challenge or the experience. It's just kind of, okay, I need to do this, I need to do that. So by the end of this process, I will be a bit more knowledgeable. Okay, so this is what happened in this one. I'm going to tackle this and hopefully have all the things set up and the conversations had with those people and form those relationships. The only way I can do that is just keep moving forward and going through that journey. So
Are you doing the music for the movie?
Yeah, we're doing the music for the movie as well, for it. And there's other things as well. So I'm in talks now to try to do an original score. So right now I'm just kind of getting that ideas and putting that down, and then going through that, because it's sci-fi, and until we get the first kind of things on celluloid, it's kind of understanding. I'm thinking from that process to kind of see the things visually and then work. But sometimes what I get is ideas of different types of scores, and then I just document it down and have that ready and then bring it out, and then hopefully it matches up. So
that's interesting, because you said you don't play any musical instruments, but yet you're doing scores. How does that?
Yeah. Well, basically, I think because of my knowledge of being so into original scores in the first place, and I think from movies in general, like I have a way of breaking down movies because I'm such a geek. I love movies, so I think for me to be able to tackle that is understanding orchestral, understanding how it moves the scene and where it should go and what instruments to use. So I know from that theory side of it, but to play an instrument, I think maybe my only instrument other than I was gonna say is my voice. So I would probably beatbox or do a riff, and then probably get somebody to articulate that into something that we can use, whether it be synth, I don't know. But
So
I have
you
that
can,
kind of thing.
for instance, record a tune and say what instruments you think should be playing it.
Yeah, and get that feel, the scene.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the kind of direction.
And maybe use a drum machine for
play
the beat also, yeah?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, there's a way, and I feel that kind of side I think might work. But again, I'm trying to do it in a way where I want to see a lot of visuals, and I can play off that, because I got to be careful, for me anyway, in this first project, because it's so important for me to make sure that the visuals will actually match to the tension of the scene. And it's all good trying to get it out now, but on the day, once we've got it, the scenes that we want and everything like that, it could change. I have to be ready for that. You know what I mean? The scene might require something else, so I have to be ready of how that scene is going to look, and then maybe in the editing stage, or when we finally wrapped up and everything, I can then sit down and go, okay, maybe I think the music should sound like this, and I'll have time to kind of appreciate the scene. And that's what I'm learning from acting, because being a student of acting, you learn different ways of how a scene is, and that's the beauty of acting, is nothing's always the same. And I think I would advise a lot of people, if you're getting into acting, try theatre. Theatre is definitely, because you're in real time and your performance is never the same. If you're given a run of, let's say, 10 shows, each performance is going to be slightly different, and that's the fun and exciting thing about acting. So your performance, even though you're trying to do it the same, might be not as the same, because your actor that you're working off might move differently, so you've got to respond to that and things like that. So I guess it's the same in terms of when I'm trying to make this film, even though I've got all these amazing visions and how I want it to see, I'm trying to get it there, but it could be different, and then maybe something that could be overlooked. So I'm trying to learn from obviously the best directors as well. So I'm a student of the game, and yeah, it's all a process. It's very much a process.
All right, and then one more thing I wanted to ask about the music.
Yeah.
So you have maybe about, would we say about a dozen or 24 songs that you've now recorded?
Yeah, so I would say, because I've done a mixtape, including as well called Resuscitation, an album. So I would say about 30, 40 songs.
Okay. Have you ever sent any of these songs to established famous musicians so they could sing?
Yeah, so there's a song on my first album called The Revolution's Ours, and again, the sample that was used in that song was by The Clash, a very well-known punk band that came out in the late 70s, 80s. The sample that we use is called London's Calling, very iconic in that time, and the lead singer is called Joe Strum, who's now deceased. May he rest in peace. So yeah, I gave my song to them, and they gave me acknowledgement and a share in it. But again, as I said, at a time, it was down to me to promote it. It was up to me to kind of push it, and I didn't have the backing. I didn't have the awareness or the understanding. So, and as well, I had to live my life. No one could account for the things I had to go through. No one was directing me. So it was pretty much me pushing myself. But now I think because of what I've gone through with my life, my first album, I'm more in a structured, focused way, because I'm not shy to that. Like some people would say, when you release an album, that's it. It's out there. No, there's a lot more. It's like looking after a baby. It really is. Like you've got to revisit it. You've got to check on things. You've got to engage with your fans or people that are following you. You've got to do so much. You can't just put it out there and just leave it. And let it run for itself. There's so much you got to do. And then also as well, like from an artist's point of view, especially when you wrote the song, you've got to re-sing it again. You got to fall in love with it again. And you're for me, because I'm already on album 3. So right now I'm recording my 3rd album. Like I'm like an album ahead. Yeah. So even though this album, Focus on Me and Not the Storm, is out, and I love all the songs, I'm already down the road. Do you know what I mean? But when somebody says, "Oh, I love the song Glow that you did," I'm like, yeah, and I appreciate that, and I hold that here. But however, I'm over there. So I've got to take into account what works and what doesn't. And I think that's why labels, I think, are more involved in the artist's life, because the labels will know, okay, well, this is working, this is not working, we can do that. And the artist can primarily focus on, performing. Whereas I've got about 8 or 10 different hats on. So I have to be the businessman, I have to be the artist, I have to be the admin. Yeah, and I have to do that. And that's what I share the same with the kind of the Tom Cruise aspect, because I engage with my fans. So the good thing about me is when I do street dancing, and I'm living in Oxford right now. So when I was here, I started training for this album to be physically fit. People were watching me, recording me. So I obviously would talk to them and explain who I am as an artist. And, and that is authenticity in itself, because you're actually meeting people who are following you, and you're kind of understanding what people like. That to me is a relationship bond that you can't, you just can't fathom in terms of that kind of fan base. But seeing we're in a game now of numbers. So it's just like, 1 million followers, but it doesn't maybe resonate. Whereas I like to meet people, I like to talk to people, I like to understand what they like or what they don't like, if I'm doing a good job. And I go as far back as I remember when I used to, I don't know if you remember this, but back in the day, there used to be music shops like H&V, Tower Records, R Price. And I remember when I was a kid, and I used to go all the way, get my pocket money and go all the way down to Piccadilly Circus to buy, I'm into like New Kids on the Block. Like I used to buy their CD, take it all the way home, read who produced it, look at the inlay, all those kind of things. And that to me, I'm embraced. But we live in a time now with streaming. So it's a click of a button now. And I feel that's the downside, I think, of, in really engaging with the artist or the content that you really love. You're losing that part of it. Unless you obviously as well, if you're going to go see them, that's the other side of it. So, you know, for me, I think I've been taught how to really be that representative, to understand and really trying to engage with the audience. I really do. I feel the audience is key. Without the audience, you're kind of in a performance platform. You're nothing really. Yeah. So I really value the audience that really, you know, are into you, into your work. And I've had, you know, the privilege of doing some amazing things, especially with dance, and having the feedback. And I really thank Oxford as well as London. Oxford has really embraced me for what I've, you know, displayed to them. So that's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, good for you. Good for you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Osiris. It's been a
You're welcome.
with you, and it's nice to get a little bit of an insight into the music industry. And
thank you.
I'm sure you will inspire a few other people out there. And yes,
thank you.
Links to your videos.
Thank you.
There are some clips in this interview as well, which people can hear as they go along, but we'll put your social media as well. Okay,
thank you so much indeed, and it's been an absolute pleasure, Dawn, to be a part of this interview. Thank you so much indeed. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Lovely talking.
You're welcome. You. Take care. Bye.
And you. Bye now. Bye.
You're putting out ain't enough of uncle. Do as I do, you're down poor. Senor, when you coming on in and reap your reward. I wanna lead the board. Over you there are none, under you there are some. Go on for us and get out there and show how it's done.
The revolution is here. LionX AI services. AI chat, your questions and our AI assistant's answers. Write blog post in a single click. Create AI images, free trial. In an era where technology is rapidly evolving, the line between human potential and artificial intelligence becomes increasingly blurred. However, rather than viewing AI as a threat to our capabilities, it's time we embrace it as a tool for enhancement and empowerment.